After Wings puts the finishing touches on a new album or plays the final encore of the evening, Paul and Linda McCartney drop the rock and roll concerns for a while to get wrapped up in family life.
We see the kids like as much as most people do, probably a bit more than your average 9-to-5 workers. And so we keep it balanced that way, you know, and we have to go home to beat the kids up, of course. Keep them in line.
That's right. You tell them.
Cuff around the ear. Quick cuffs. This is the... No, I'm only kidding, really. What we do is we try and balance it out, you know, between working and the family. And we work just like most people do, you know, put in a bit of work, and then we have a lot of time off. They're good kids. They're fine. We try and keep them out of the business. They're big enough hands as it is. We don't take them on the road. No, we try and leave them on the road. We'll get a few miles on the motorway. Say, out, kids. And that's... But they somehow seem to keep catching us up at gigs. No, this is the bluffing British sense of humour.
This is the story of a boy named Ted. If his mother said Ted be good, he would.
The main thing, like the only thing that we know about bringing up kids is...
Tranquilizers.
is, you know, giving them attention is the main thing. You know, that's what kids want, you know, is like somebody to watch what they're doing and someone to love them. And so, you know, we just try and sort of be with them when they need us and stuff.
And I remember when I was real trouble for my parents. So I can understand, you know, different phases you go through as a human being. So you just remember yourself and you just think, well, time just takes care of everything. Unless it's dangerous, you know, and then that's why I think parents are there. Because it's dangerous. But I think fads and just things that are a bit outrageous, but they're not harmful, I think they're all right.
We're so sorry.
They know what's going on, like anyone knows, you know, but, and they have to put up with a little bit here and there about, you know, having famous parents. But we don't really do it like a lot of famous people do, which is very upfront and very sort of trying to take the kids and involve them in our lifestyle and stuff. They keep pretty straight, you know, our kids. We're just growing up pretty much like ordinary kids, except they've got us for parents.
Paul McCartney discusses the pains of following the Beatles with a new band in the second hour of the Wings special, when we continue on KHJ.
Southern California.
9th Street KHJ.
Los Angeles.
Picturing the McCartneys as a typical stay-at-home family that watches television at night, it's hard to conjure up the image of hardcore rock musicians sweating it out on stage. But throughout this frantic double life, Paul and Linda McCartney have managed to keep their relationship stronger than ever.
What is it for us? We don't know. You haven't been able to work it out for the last 10 years, but the thing is, if it seems to work, you don't knock it, you know. Tolerance. Really. You know, the thing is, like, when you talk to people, people ask you about your marriage and stuff, it always comes out sounding like a fairy tale romance and stuff, but like anyone who's got a relationship with another person, you have your ups and downs, you know. But I mean, I couldn't tell anyone how to do it, because we're still trying to work out how to do it ourselves.
And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make.
The breakup of the Beatles, the group responsible for bringing new meaning to popular and rock music around the world, obviously did affect the McCartneys.
Well, I mean, you know, the thing was, like, when we were trying to start Wings, it was a bit of a headache, because you were following in the footsteps, or I was anyway, following in the footsteps of like a very famous group, you know, the Beatles. But they split up, so there's nothing I could really do about it, except start a new one. So we started a new one, and at the very first, there was a lot of people saying, oh, you know, it's silly to even try and top the Beatles. But one of the great things that did start happening was that as we got on with it and started doing it, you started discovering like younger fans who were saying those kind of things, like, you know, oh, Wings, you know. And so it did give us a lot of encouragement, like, to think, because I could, at one point, I would have never believed that anyone in the world could disassociate me from the Beatles.
What does she get for all the love she gave you?
Elvis Presley and his influence are part of McCartney's thoughts in the next segment coming right up on the Wings Special from KHJ.
The past decade on the international music scene has been filled with more than just the usual share of band breakups or overhauls. For a number of never-to-be-forgotten rock and rollers, it meant an unfortunate end.
We talk about someone like Keith Moon.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll.
He probably would have just been here looning as usual, you know. But, like, he was a great fella, you know. But I say, if he'd have been here now, he would have been just laughing and joking. I don't suppose he'd like anyone to just start taking him seriously. Because it's the last thing they ever did while he was alive, you know. It's a bit the same with Jimi Hendrix or someone like that, you know, who's like another mate. They were great, you know. They got burned out via various things, you know. But they were great people, you know. I just like to remember them for what they were. I mean, for me, he was the all-time guitar player, Jimmy. But, you know, I mean, the thing is, you know, they go to where all good rock and rollers go. One thing people don't seem to notice about Elvis, he was like one of the world's greatest vocalists. Everyone thinks, oh, well, he was a star, he wore all those sequins, you know, he got fat, he did all that. And
still sang great through it all.
But, I mean, you listen to a record like Jailhouse Rock, and, I mean, he's pretty amazing vocalist. He was always one of my favourite songs. So, I mean, I just like to remember him like that, you know. I don't particularly get into the fact that he's dead. For me, he's sort of still alive.
McCartney insists that mourning the passing of rock and roll legends or looking back too hard at past musical accomplishments is the wrong direction to take. Instead, a band has to concentrate on what's really important now. The songs and the sound.
I don't want to be the little woman.
Everything you do is pretty much tailored for some kind of audience, but you don't tailor it for critics. You tailor it for... I mean, the only thing I ever do when I write a song is I just think now, if I was buying records now, what would I like to hear? You know, and that kind of gets me into a song. I think I'd like to hear something like this, and then try and write it. We're not the commentators. We're not the people who look at the thing and analyze it and talk about it and try and bring the truth to people. We just make the music. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter, like, who's in power in the government. I mean, I think even during Nixon there was great music knocking around.
Someone knocking at the door.
Paul McCartney philosophizes about the mixture of rock and big business as the Wings Special continues on KHJ.